Hello Celtic supporter, huge news has just broken at Ibrox, and if you love Celtic you need to know what is about to change in the leadership of the team and in the direction of the season at a decisive moment for the boys. After so much speculation, one name in particular has moved ahead as the number one target for the board led by Dermot Desmond. Talks have already started and there is even an internal deadline for everything to be settled, which adds even more pressure behind the scenes. So do the following right now, Celtic fan, leave your like, subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, and comment whether you approve this name or not, because the next few hours may bring the announcement that will shake the dressing room, the media, and the entire green and white support. What is happening at this moment is that Celtic are one step away from securing Wilfried Nancy as the new manager, after a weekend of discussions with the board that began on Friday night and continued over the following days in an attempt to finalise all parts of the agreement. Nancy, currently in charge of Columbus Crew in the United States, was chosen as the number one target after an initial approach made directly by Dermot Desmond following Brendan Rodgers' departure, showing that this is not just any name but a project that has been carefully thought through and highly rated by the hierarchy. According to the Scottish press, the 48-year-old Frenchman is already convinced by the Celtic project, sold on the idea of taking charge of a European giant and working with a passionate support, but that does not mean everything is settled, because there are still important points to resolve. One of those points is the financial compensation Celtic will have to negotiate with Columbus Crew, since Nancy still has at least 12 months left on his MLS contract, which means the Glasgow club must reach an agreement with the Americans before the coach can be released. Another open subject is the makeup of the backroom team, because there is a real chance that Nancy will bring with him some long-term trusted figures, such as former Ireland international Kwame Ampadu and the highly rated Yohan Dammit, both fundamental to his work in the United States. Ampadu, for those who may not know, was a product of Arsenal's youth system, played for many years in England with a significant spell at Swansea City, and began his coaching career in 2008 within the Exeter City youth structure, precisely at the time when Paul Tisdale, now a key figure in Celtic's football operations, was manager of the club. He later joined the Arsenal Academy and made an important leap by working alongside legend Thierry Henry at Monaco as an assistant coach, an experience that strengthened his high-level knowledge and his exposure to top-level European football. He later followed Henry to CF Montreal in Canada, where he crossed paths with Wilfried Nancy, building a very strong professional relationship that eventually took them together to Columbus Crew in 2022, with Nancy as the leading figure in the technical area. Yohan Dammit, another name who could join the staff in Glasgow, also has a respected background, having worked in Montreal's youth program, then as assistant coach at FC Cincinnati and more recently at LA Galaxy, always involved in projects focused on development and the evolution of a clear game model. Meanwhile, at Celtic, the departure of Brendan Rodgers triggered a complete restructuring behind the scenes, with long-serving assistant John Kennedy leaving alongside analysts Jack Lyons and Adam Sadler and head of performance Glenn Driscoll, opening several gaps in the technical organisation. To fill that gap immediately, Martin O'Neill stepped in as interim manager, with Sean Maloney moving up from his role as Pathways boss to join the coaching team, an emergency solution that brought back a figure greatly respected and admired by the support. Maloney then called Mark Fotheringham into the dugout, while Stephen McManus was promoted from the B team, creating a kind of internal bridge while the club works behind the scenes to announce the new permanent manager. The major doubt now is whether this temporary arrangement will become something more permanent alongside Wilfried Nancy, since it is being reported that the Frenchman is open to having a local coach on his staff, which could help provide a smoother transition between the current structure and the new project. All of this develops against a ticking clock. Celtic's objective is to have the agreement signed and announced before the annual general meeting scheduled for Friday, a moment in which the board will naturally be pressed on the direction they intend to take after the Rodgers chapter. Celtic supporter, leave your thoughts in the comments on whether you believe Nancy is the right profile for this rebuild, whether you would prefer another name mentioned in the media, and whether you think a coach arriving from MLS can repeat the positive impact the club has already experienced with other bold and unconventional appointments. In summary, Celtic are pushing strongly to make Wilfried Nancy the new leader of the boys, with negotiations advanced, a defined deadline and a staff structure that could combine the Frenchman's trusted assistants with local figures connected to the club. Much can still unfold in the coming hours, from the compensation agreement with Columbus Crew to the definition of who will sit beside him on the bench at Celtic Park, but the hierarchy has already made it clear that he is the primary target and that time is running short. Celtic fan, leave your opinion below on whether you approve this choice, whether you trust Dermot Desmond's vision, and whether you believe Nancy can deliver modern, attacking and winning football to restore maximum pride to the green and white faithful.